What's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to another edition of the In the Zone podcast. It's your boy Brian Foster in the building, as usual. Thank you for joining us. 2 days in a row. I haven't done a two-dayer in a minute, but I owed you one from last week, so we are back. First and foremost, as always, we start off with hoping everybody is safe and in good health. These numbers keep rising, so I hope you are taking all the necessary precautions for you and your family to be well and to be safe. But we got a really interesting topic today. Actually, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. My man Derek brought this to me as a suggestion, and I thought it was fantastic. With everything happening in the country today, all the cultural changes we're seeing, all the cultural changes we are proposing, what I have noticed and have continued to notice over the years is there seems to be a division between African Americans and then African natives that are here in America. There seem to be some cultural divides. There seem to be some misconceptions and maybe some things that are true that are overblown that we hold against each other and haven't really had a deep dive conversation about. So I figured what better place to do it than in the Zone podcast. So let me introduce my guest real fast. Since I've already given him credit for the idea, I got my man Derek in the building. What's going on, brother?
What's happening, man? B. Foss. Appreciate the credit. Man, I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you, my man.
Appreciate
then
it.
I've got, just so you all know, well, you know what? Y'all know her already. I ain't even got to give her no introduction. Lily, what's going on?
What's up, Brian?
Y'all look, Lily about to give me the most viewership I've ever got. I know she got like 15 million people want to see her live. They miss her in these Chicago streets. No smart, you gonna let me have that? Yes. And then, small announcement. Haven't put this out here yet, but I'm gonna put it out here now since we're having a conversation. Me and my girl Keisha. Hey, Keisha.
Hey, love.
We are starting our own web series called The Blackboard. We will have some highlights and some clips and a little preview going on. Next week, 24th?
Actually, I got some I can send you now if you want it.
Oh, y'all not ready. Not ready. So we're officially going to launch next month, beginning of September. It'll be a show about everything. We're going to have multiple guests rotating, come in and talk about culture, politics, fashion, music, food, nightlife. Movies, TV, you name it, we're going to get into it and really deep dive into it from a Black perspective. So anyway, be on the lookout for that. But let's get into this. So first and foremost, Derek, give me a little bit of your give me and the guest a little bit of your background.
Okay. Well, I'm a first generation Ghanaian American, born here in outside Chicago. Parents came from Ghana. Both of them from Kumasi, Ghana. Parents came here, about 45 years ago to America and had me here, and I've been living in America ever since and, trying to do my thing with my family.
Okay. All right. Lily?
I am born and raised in Ethiopia. Pretty much up to 20 years. So I've been here almost 20 years. So I got here 01.
Got to Chicago or to the States?
To the state. Chicago, been 10 years.
10 years. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you made some headway in 10 years, girl. Keisha.
Yeah, so I think I'm completely different than our other two guests. Born and raised in Chicago. As far as I know, all of my family is from the South, so no connection to Africa except to the extent that I've visited. So just sort of a definitely different perspective from your other two guests.
That's why you're here.
Exactly.
And then you all know me, of course. I'm of Native American Asian descent with a little sprinkle of sprinkle of black up in there. Very much same as Keisha, native Chicagoan, Southside, born and bred. Families from Arkansas originally. Obviously, we all have our roots based in Africa somewhere, but if you ask me exactly where me and mine came from, I honestly couldn't tell you. And I've been looking. So different perspectives, and that's why we're all together. So let me ask you guys this. How do you feel about the current state of the relationship between, Native Africans that are here in the country as opposed to African Americans born and bred here and maybe multi-generationally born and bred here? Lily being the lone soul born on the mother continent, I'll let you kick it off.
I mean, based on what's going on now, I think people are open-minded to get to know people in a different level compared to, from my experience, 15, 20 years. When I left home, the first place I was in Wyoming. So, which is opposite, barely see Black people. A lot of people be like, Wyoming, why? But my experience was a little bit different, being a 20-year-old, but I didn't experience it until later on when I went to school, how people think of people from different countries. Some of the questions that be asked was like so stupid, like you want to just say something to them. You'd be like,
wait, like what? Like what would they ask?
they would ask like, where do you live? Do you have a house? You know what I mean? Like, just a stupid question.
Like, are you
like,
in a
do
hut?
you have clothes? And you'd be like, what? So it was a shock for me to adjust at the beginning. It was like because me growing up in Ethiopia, we learned, it's not that we were forced to learn, but we learned a lot about different country cultures or the war or other things. So for me, it was a disappointing when I came in here, people didn't even know where Ethiopia is, or they believe, Mandela was the president of all Africa. You know what I mean? Like, that's what
On the whole
they know when
continent.
it comes to Africa. Yeah, they was like, oh, so Mandela is your president. And no, Google this, you know what I mean? Like, it was so sad that to hear that from them, people that are in higher level education or college when asking those questions. So it was sad to the point that I just didn't even want to have a conversation no more. To the point it's like, okay, go figure it out. So even now, people do that, and I don't get offended as much as I was before. As I moved along different places, after I left Wyoming, I was in Virginia before I moved here, and then I was in the East Coast area. So I learned that some area or some state, city, different than other because the diversity helped them to, get to know. But once I come to Chicago, it's different. It's very south side, west side, east side is different. So all the Africans up north, like I don't have any Ethiopian friends, barely, because I'm in the south side. And they don't come to the south side. They told me if it's emergency, somebody better drop me up north. Like, why? So because of what they know on the south side, they barely pass South Loop. Maybe the most you can see them in Hyde Park. So is it based on fear? Is it based on acceptance from other people? I don't know. But for me, when I moved here, I moved in the south side, so I didn't have no choice but to figure it out and get along with people versus me running to the north where my people are. I was like, no, I had to be, this is where I am. I had to make this my home, my connection. But a lot of people don't do that based on family, tradition, culture, religion. So people have to be open-minded, and some people have open-minded to teach. Like, I don't mind teaching my friends. I take them to a restaurant. I make them eat with their hands. That's my culture. Some of them is not an option. Hey, this is me. I'm learning your thing. You're learning my things. You gonna eat spicy food? No, you got an option. You're gonna eat non-spicy food. But a lot of time people don't have the patience to know, or they just stuck based on what they see. Like most of people, when they learn from Ethiopia, they go back 36 years about what they saw on TV when you guys raise money for the payment. You know what I mean? Like, they just never learned anything. It was like, so y'all still have struggle with food? Like, I was 5 years old back then, So it's really sad with the technology we have. But then at some point I get offended when it comes to, oh, they only learn what they want to learn. When it comes to our music, people like Afrobeat, but you don't want to learn the culture, you know?
Yeah.
And but then you want to wear our clothes. You want to do this and that. So people just
so you feel some appropriation. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I really do, because to me, if you want to accept some of our culture, accept everything what comes with it, because that's who we are. But a lot of times, people go, oh, I want to go to African fest, but you go over there just to buy something that you're not going to find it, that easy unless you have friends with, Africans, whatever. But it just how they pick and choose, or until they get to know you. This is a funny story, true story. When I met my ex, he from Chicago, he was in Virginia. So he told his family he was dating me. He told them, oh, this girl from Ethiopia, whatever. So some of his cousins, they were open-minded about it. But I think one of his cousins, which is really tight now, she was like, I guess she had assumption of what African looked like to her. So the first time she met me, she was like, oh, you're pretty. Your hair is like what? What was your expectation?
Yeah. All these preconceived notions.
She told him, don't bring no nappy African. That's what she told him.
Wow.
And when I got here, it was the opposite. And she was honest to tell me that. And this is something that, I didn't take it anything, but it really makes me feel like, what was she thinking? What was their expectation?
Well, a lot of folks, they haven't had these relationships with the diaspora that African.
Why have to be a nappy hair? Like,
well, these are awful preconceived notions we have about the country. It's true. It's true. Derek, jump in there.
Like I said, I'm born in Chicago, so yeah, I went through it. I lived in the South Side, so growing up was tough. Because you have to understand from my parents' aspect of the situation, right? They get here to America, they move to the South Side of Chicago, they see Black people. They experience racism, right? From white people. But then they start to experience racism from their own kind that look like them. So now they're looking like, whoa, what is this? Right. I expected it from the white people.
Right.
But I didn't expect it from people that looked like me. Only because they knew we were different. Black people knew that we weren't born here. So they're like, you're different. And in the early, I'll say, the early 80s up until the early, not the early 80s, but all of the 80s to the early 90s, it was rough for us. Rough. Because we were getting picked on. Because the kids don't know nothing about us. The parents don't know nothing about us. So we were getting picked on by people that look like us. We just happened to be a darker pigmentation, but we were definitely getting picked on by people that look just like us. And so we kind of.
Were you getting crazy, still silly stuff?
Whatever. Jokes. Fights. We got into it. We definitely got into it. We had our issues. But it seemed like as time went on, it seemed like more and more Black people wanted to know more about different parts of Africa or know about their own history, about where they coming from. So then they starting to get a better understanding of self. And because they want to learn more about themselves, then they also want to know more about Africa. And that's where it seemed to get, as a better transition as time went on.
Yeah.
That's
yes, it's and Keisha, I'm gonna let you jump in there for a hot second, but it's interesting. You right, D, as when I was a kid, and I'm growing up, and we had a Fumaleo, I believe was her name in my class, and we gave her shit because we just didn't know any better, right? She came in, African garb, and we would go over to, she lived in my building. I lived in Lake Meadows, and we would go, by her place, and all the scents were different and all that type of stuff. And we were cool with it, but we would crack the little silly jokes. But then as I got older, yeah, and matured. Now I'm in college and I'm starting to take, learn the country. Like I had to take a geography class, and I took, talking about Africa and all these, African history classes, and then African American history classes, and you start kind of really diving into self and trying to connect back to your roots. And then then y'all got cool. It was like, oh shit, like I want to be around the culture and the people or whatever, because I want to know more about, even if I'm not from that region, where I'm from. And it kind of made this 180 in my head. I know it didn't with everybody, of course. It still hasn't, obviously. Keisha, what do you think? Being from here, what was your experience?
My experience is, totally different for obvious reasons. Like I don't ever remember witnessing my childhood friends teasing people who, were born and raised in Africa. And I've always heard that there was this tension and hostility between African Americans and Africans who live in America, but I've just never experienced it, never witnessed it. When I would tell people that I was going to Egypt, everybody told me what I was going to expect, and it was going to be negative interactions. And it was nothing like that. It was nothing but love. It was at the time when President Obama was in the White House. So you have a slew of Black people descending on Cairo who are from Chicago. It was nothing but love from the beginning. We were there for 14 days almost. I witnessed nothing that even hinted that there was some hostility. And insofar as my interactions here in America, I can probably count on my hand where I've encountered some tense situations, but that's just human. I never ever thought that it was, oh, I'm having a rude cab driver because I'm a Black woman. I just figured we're just people, and sometimes we don't get along. So I cannot say that I've ever borne witness to the tension that people speak of or the insults that have been hurled upon you. But, it's troubling that we always seem to find a way to divide ourselves. Like when I see Black people, I'm just happy. I don't care about the accent, your last name, like that is meaningless to me. I'm just happy to see melanin. So it's astonishing that that's been your experience, because it's just not what I've witnessed. So.
No, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the chat. Do Jamal, what's up, Jamal? One of my consistent viewers. Love that brother. Do you guys speak different dialects, Derek and Lily?
Oh yeah, even because my family's from Ghana. There's so many different dialects within Ghana itself. So you have Tree, you have Akan, you have Ga, there's so many different versions of language within the same country. So that just speaks to even more dialects outside of Ghana, all the other countries that are in Africa. So
I think most of people, because when they think it's African, they think we have some kind of common language. So I think that's what they were asking. But each country have their own tribe. Like Ethiopian have like over 80 tribes. So my dad is a different tribe than my mom. But my mom's tribe only, they speak Amharic, which is a national language. But my dad speak a different language, top of that national language. So I don't know my dad's tribe language because he didn't grow up in there. But a lot of people ask that, like, what do you speak? So they think all Africans have one language, so everybody have their own, but not really. So I think that was the question he had.
So what do you speak?
So I speak Amharic. So, but like I know, like in Kenya and other countries, they do speak like Swahili, so they can communicate. But Ethiopia never colonized, so most of African colonized was British or French. So Ethiopia is the only country has not been colonized. So everything we have is just like we don't share when it comes to our food, our music. It's not the same as Afrobeat. It's different. Our calendar, we 8 years behind, so it's not 2020 in Ethiopia. We have our own calendar, so it's just different than the rest of Africa. So like when we say Afro music, it's true it's Afro music for us because it's not, our music is totally different than the Afro music you would know. So we only want to speak Amharic than any other African.
Gotcha. So Derek, do your people, and by your people I mean your parents, do they harbor any resentment about how they were received when they got here? Have they moved beyond it? Do they still have some negative connotations about African Americans because of their experience over these 30 plus years, 40 years?
Um, my dad, he went back to Ghana. He just called it one. Once we got of age,
Oh, he just
he's like, he chucked the deuces and called it one and moved back. My mom, she lived here for so long, to the point where she can't see herself actually going back. She can go back to visit, but she can't live back in Ghana because it's like moved on without her. So she doesn't know how she can really adapt back home where she's from. She can live there, but she wouldn't be happy because she's so Americanized and in way that she does things. In regards to harboring any ill feelings, I think that she has stereotypes, that I guess, Black people, they have stereotypes about us Africans. But
right.
On the flip side, Africans got
let's dive
stereotypes.
let's dive into some of that. Like what stereotypes does she or other folks that are from the culture that they have about African Americans in general? Let's put them on the table.
We'll start off with what Liddy has spoke about being South Side. A lot of Africans don't like coming South because they think it's on and they may get shot. I mean, they're not
100% wrong.
They're worried about their safety. And so a lot of times, like for instance, when I was younger, because of what we went through when we were growing up, we moved to Bolingbrook. But that started a whole exodus of Ghanaians living in Bolingbrook. Like right now, we can go outside in Bolingbrook and I'm going to run into a Ghanaian, no doubt. So it started a whole, like we move together. So a lot of Ghanaians moved from Chicago, especially with the experiences they were receiving in Chicago, and moved to the burbs. They moved to Bolingbrook. A lot of them live in Bolingbrook. Okay. And it's because of the experience that they had living in the South Side. And then they see on the news, shootings and all these different things, especially now with the looting. They looking at Black people like, man, you're in America. You don't know how bad we got in Africa. Why are y'all doing this? Why are you acting like this when you got way more than we could ever think of being in Africa? When they were kids, the way Africa is now, right. They got it. They got it really good. So the way it was when they were younger, they look at Black people like y'all are pretty much, I don't know how to explain it, like y'all wasting away your opportunity.
Don't appreciate the opportunities we've been given by being born in this country.
Right? Because a lot of Africans want to come to America. They're thirsty to come to America. They don't know about the racism. They don't know about all of that. They think that they can maximize their lives being here in America and maximize their future for their families by being in America. But they don't know the intricacies of what goes on here in America. And so they think that Black people are wasting their opportunity being here with education and being able to just get up and move around as much as you want to in a car and all that. They think they take it for granted. I know my parents, the African people that I know, or the Ghanaian people that I know, think that a lot of Black people take these opportunities that they have for granted.
Lily, that's the same thing?
I agree. I mean, for me, being raised home and being here and being a mom, I don't know, where did I go? Okay, something happened with my computer. So being a mom, raising my daughter, I tell her every day, some of the things that she, it's just me knowing, it's not that I had a hard life here, but some of the things that we take for granted here is so much different. So when I see some things that, we argue or disagree, and I'm like, this is simple. Like, there's worse than this. So I totally agree with what Derek said. is so much privilege that we don't. Like I really like I'm planning taking my daughter back because she don't know what it feel like, just as a simple thing. So yeah, I totally agree.
Okay.
So, B, I got a question for Derek
Do
and
it.
Lily. When you talk about two questions. When you talk about the stereotypes that African-born folks have about African Americans, and let's just say those stereotypes are untrue and unfair, what's your response? Do you sort of work to educate them and sort of explain, hey, Black Americans have had it hard for these reasons, so maybe they shouldn't be subjected to such harsh criticism? Like, what do you do when you hear those things?
Oh, I totally try to school my mom. I mean, about it. Like, it's not as sweet as you may think that they had it, because, of systemic racism. You don't experience the racism when you're in Africa. I mean, they have their own because of tribal, but it's different with tribal. But here in America, the racism is thick and it's different. So I had to explain that to my mom, like, it's not what you think. It's not what you think. It's worse than what you experienced in Ghana with the different tribal situations. It's worse because they're stopping the advancement of Black people to become prosperous in America. They really have their hand on their finger on the trigger. Like, no, you cannot be as successful as me. You cannot be doing better than me. No, I won't allow that. And because of that, some people choose to do criminal activity in order to just get their foot in the door, or just to get theirs. And so I try to explain to her, like, look, it's not as easy as you think it should be for Black people in America. It's just not.
And do they lodge the same sort of criticisms towards white people? To your point, there's like systems in place to help keep us in the lower class. Do you think that folks are harsh on Black people, Black Americans, but are they equally critical of the system and white America's role in it?
I mean, they now understand, especially my mom being here for so many years. She now gets it. She definitely gets it. Like, okay, I see what's going on, but she doesn't want it to be an excuse, because even though that is the situation at hand, people that's coming from the motherland over here, they start from a lower bottom than what most Black people have already. Because you got to remember, they don't know the language. They don't got cash, like, or money or education. So they got to get everything from the very bottom in order to just to move around, just to be able to get employment, just to do things. They had to learn language. They have to get here. They got to get paperwork. They got to get, a lot of other stuff before they can just be able to get a job. So you have to throw that into consideration. So.
Did we lose Brian?
No, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we can't see
you. My camera went down. Pardon that. Pay it no mind. No, that's great. So Keish, from our perspective, Derek and Lily have chimed in on stereotypes that are thrust upon us. What stereotypes have you heard that we thrust upon them?
I think just the whole notion that there's this animosity between Black Americans and people who've migrated from Africa. And again, I just find it hard to believe. And it's troubling because it's just not been something that I've experienced. And yeah, everybody that I know who was born here and who migrated here, it's just been happiness, and I've had Ethiopian food, and it's just not been my experience that there is this inherent tension between the two camps. We have more in common than we do that's distinct. So I don't know. I haven't really had very many. I don't have very much to say, because I've just not heard anything beyond that general overarching statement that the two camps don't get along.
Well, let me jump in and tell some shit. So, damn it, what happened to my camera? Killing me. Anyway, So what I've experienced or heard at least, or the things that have been stereotyped in my circles have been that Africans believe that they are better than African Americans because they are pure. They don't have any of the ancestry issues that we possess. So they kind of look down upon us upon that. Definitely that we are lazy in general, that we don't appreciate, as Derek said, the opportunities that we are given, that we try to assimilate too much to white culture, and don't even acknowledge it. We think, we're setting these trends, doing that and the other, but we still, buying that Gucci, we still buying that, that polo, we still doing this, we still doing that. And then most importantly, I think, what I think we tend to thrust upon our African brothers and sisters is that, or what we thrust upon them is that they think they out hustle us, and that I've heard people say that we feel they take away opportunities from our camp. So, for example, at U of I, there was, when I was at University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, there was a quota. Obviously, there had to be a certain amount of Blacks on campus, and then there would be, Africans, Native Africans that would be there for engineering programs and whatever else they were doing, and folks were shitty about it, like that they were taking away opportunities from folks in the hood because they were filling these quotas and coming from other countries and whatnot and taking away opportunities that we needed as Native Americans because we had these systems against us that Derek, you already spoke to. So I think a lot of this has built this dissension that, I know Keisha says she hasn't heard or seen, but that I know I have. And some of it may be fair, most of it probably isn't, but I know it harbors and builds this resentment that exists between the two factions, for lack of a better word, right now. And I guess that's why I kind of wanted to have this conversation to figure out next, like, how do we cure this? And Keisha, you kind of touched on this. You said, Derek, when these things come up with your parents, or you have family gatherings and these conversations come up, are you trying to educate them? How do we move beyond some of this tension that I think most of us know exists? Lily, what do you think?
Like back to Keisha's question, like Derek have a different conversation with his parents because they here. My conversation with my mom totally different because she's not here. So growing up, even for me, before I moved here, it's always when it comes to Black, even though we Black, but African American Black, what we know back home is not a good example. So my mom, when she found out I was dating Black American, she panicked, right? So because it's not Ethiopian, different culture, all that. So the first thing she asked me was, do you go to church? Do you smoke? You know what I mean? It was just those questions, but I have to teach my mom. I have to have a different conversation with her. I was like, because I know exactly how she feel when I was at home. Everything we saw on the TV was a Black man fight, kill, draw, drug addict, all those are things that we know when it comes to Black over there. I know for me, I don't know about other Africans, but for me, that's what my mom knows, that's what I know. So for a while, she wasn't happy about it, but she knows there's nothing she can do about it. But so it's a different conversation with her. So now, like the other day when looting happened, I have to call my mom because my mom watched all Chicago news more than me. So anything happening in Chicago, I get a phone call. Like before me, I'd be like, how did you know? She was like, I saw this. So this time I was smart enough to call her early. So she was like, oh, I haven't seen it yet. Okay, let me help you. So her thing was like, why? Like, what's the purpose, And I have to tell her because I work in the Woodlawn area, so I see different than anybody else. Why this kid's act up or whatever. I'm in the I guess, the bad area out of the Woodlawn, the old blocks, where, you know what I mean? So I see kids, why they're mad, how the generation pass along. And I work with the kids, so I can't blame the kids. I blame the parents and then the other parents because they teach what they know. So I had to tell her, I had to break it down for her to understand why the kids, it's not that I support them or I agree with what is going on, but this is their way of talking to, you know what I mean, to us or to other, but this is the way they want to show. So it's totally different for her to understand because she's not here. So to her, it's like, this is crazy. Why? So somehow, if it's somebody who's here, there's a different dialogue you'll have. Me, I don't mind teaching someone, but if you approach me wrong or defense or you coming off as if like you know everything and you just blaming, is a different response you're going to get. So somehow the dialogue had to change. People had to be compassionate and to learn and to hear. And like we had a food drive a few months back, and we have a lot of white people in Parkway, in Woodlawn area. And some of the kids from the neighborhood who was volunteering, when they see the white people, they were like, they saw a ghost. Like they just didn't even want to work with the white people.
Oh, wow.
So some of our volunteer sponsors, they come from Lake Forest, other places that they never been in that area. So they were happy. And like just the other day when we had a meeting, one guy told me, he was like, I want to come back. He was like, some of the boys did not even trust me to pass me a box. They were packing boxes. They did not like the white people there. So even as 14, 13-year-old, did not, but at the end of the night, like, the guy trying to warm them up, talking and all that. So some point it had to be emerged. It had to be changing the environment. Like, people don't want to come by. Even when we have meetings, sometimes we move our meeting downtown because some of our sponsors don't want to come to the south side. So even just the organization I'm working, we changing those things. So when we do events, we ask them to come volunteer too. We send the kids to summer camp, different things. They sponsor them and move them to outdoors, see other things. So you have to start somewhere. It doesn't have to be global big, but I think people have to start where they can. If it's just one block at a time, one kid, I don't know, but somehow we had to create those space for even the young generation to be okay with.
So Brian, Lily said something that her mom has like negative misperceptions because of what she sees in like the media about Black Americans.
Right.
And that's,
right.
I think,
especially
I was just
Chicago.
Right. So don't we bear some responsibility about how we allow ourselves to be represented globally? Like if I didn't know Black Americans, I'd probably feel some kind of way about us too. Like, don't we bear some responsibility?
Keisha, I don't want to interrupt, but you got to understand it goes both ways.
Okay.
Because how Black people view us or Africans, all they think is spears, barefoot, in the hut. And they think that we don't have any money and we're broke. When it's so opposite. Like, okay, I'll take for example, my wife, she's African American, and we went to Ghana in September. I had my new daughter, so my dad never seen my daughter, so that was his first time meeting his granddaughter. So that's the main reason we went. And my wife was just looking around, and we spent about a good 10 days in Ghana, and she was like, why is everybody so nice? Like, she wasn't used to seeing so many Black people being so nice. But that's just the nature of the people. They are just nice, like to the point where, one of the waiters, he just wanted to pick up our daughter and just play with her. She was, no, she was like, you don't understand, babe. It's not like that. he's not on that, what you think, because when you thinking a man picking up a baby, or especially a girl, you like, exactly. So I'm like, it's not what you think, and all you want to do is play with our daughter, and that's it. And that was it. So it's like, it goes both ways in regards to the way that media is showing what the other side is doing. So like for Lily speaking about her mom watching Chicago, I know when she thinks about African Americans, she's like, no. and then and then on the flip side, right? When black people see Africans, they thinking that we all barefoot with bones through our nose and
plates in your lip.
Yeah, we go hunting every day for dinner. I mean, so it goes both ways. So I think the best way that we can figure out how to interact with each other, instead of going to Dominican Republic and also Cancun for trips, Africa should be a place that I think black people should go to understand this is where you're from. This is where you're really from. It may not be Ghana, it may not be Ethiopia, but just go around because you're gonna get love no matter where you're located. That's just the way the people are, especially to black people when they finally meet you. But what we see on TV,
right?
If we never meet you, okay, then you're ready to shoot us when we do.
So Keisha, when you went, you said you were in Egypt, right?
Uh-huh.
So you were there for almost 2 weeks.
We spent the
Elaborate
Christmas
more on yours.
It was amazing.
Okay.
So like I said, when we went, the Obamas were in the White House, and you got Chicagoans coming to Egypt. So once they found out we were from Chicago, it was like welcome home. In preparing for the trip and telling friends and family that I was going to Africa, I got exactly what you expect I was going to get. Oh, they're not going to like you, and all that good stuff, that negativity. But once I got there and experienced it for myself, it couldn't have been farther from the truth. Like, they were happy to see us. I think they were happy to know, to Derek's point, they're happy to see that Black folks were interested in coming back to Africa as opposed to going to, like Derek said, to the Caribbean to day drink. We were actually trying to go home. So no, it was great.
Hey, whoa. We're not gonna have disparaging about day drinking.
Day drinking,
by the way.
Yeah, we all do it.
So no, it was love. And I think in hearing other people talk, like studying abroad in South Africa and Ghana, I think there's a lot of curiosity and interest. So I don't know, for me personally, I think I'm optimistic. I think the future is bright. When you think about things like Ancestry.com, people want to know where they're from. Like, I just really think there's an elevated interest in our heritage and understanding our culture. So what may have been, I just don't think is going to be anymore. I really think we're on an upward trajectory, and we can just be Black folks. Like our country of origin is immaterial. I'm hoping we get to that point.
Yeah. Oh, that's
but
very.
I'm a Pollyanna.
You idealistic than a mug right now. I like it though. I like it.
I mean,
so I've never been to Africa. I've been to South Africa. And I was at the Apartheid Museum, and I mean, like, I could have spent 3 days in there. It was amazing. But I was having a conversation with one of the security guards. I don't even know how we started chatting. And, I clearly said, you're from America. Where are you from? I said, I'm from Chicago, blah, blah, blah. We go, I'm like, where, are you from, Johannesburg? He's like, no, I'm from wherever, blah, blah. We get to chatting. And he starts just asking all these, like Lily, you said, when you first got here, they would ask these crazy questions. He just started asking these, what I felt were like these odd questions. But I mean, I was like, cool. I was like, all right, no. I was like, no, I don't own a gun. No, I eat more than pizza. Yeah, no, I got white friends. Yes, yeah. So it's like all these little things or whatever. And then I'm asking them some questions, whatever. And I think and we chatted for like 45 minutes, just like I spent almost an hour just chopping it up with him. And I think that's the key. But I think what Lily said earlier is interesting in that the people, her Ethiopian folks won't even come to the South Side, right? Like, she has to travel to them. So how do we bridge these gaps and have these conversations, particularly in a place in Chicago, like Chicago, Boston? This might be easier in New York or, I won't even say LA, maybe LA or cities that are less segregated.
It's easy.
How do we bring that together in a city where we're so divided geographically, much less culturally? I mean, do we have to? Is that something that has to be purposeful? Do we have to have a big ass town hall meeting? I mean, I was just trying to figure out how we logistically make this happen.
Actually, the way I see it is that you got to understand everything is capitalistic. Everything is about money. And the way Africa is growing now, it'll be beautiful if Black people could start doing business in Africa and vice versa. Because once you start doing everything in regards to business and everybody's making money and doing well, then you want to know more about what your background. You want to know more about that person. You want to know more about what they're going through. You want to know them as about people. And that's crazy that money would be the way. But if we both are, if Black people are making money and Africans are making money, you know, since we're both doing good, now we want to know more about you. To be honest with you, we're both doing good. So hey, let me know what you eating over there. What's going on? What you eating over there? Let me taste that. Let me see what you know. So you want to start.
So money is the great unifier? Is that what you said?
I mean, if we both can make it. I mean, because I think creating business where we don't have to depend on them in order to do things. We can depend on each other. And by depending on each other, we create relationships where we can learn more about each other as well.
But if you don't trust me, are you inclined to develop a business relationship with me?
It's not that we don't trust.
Okay.
That's the thing. Okay. It's not that we don't trust. If anything, I'll be honest with you, it may be the Africans that may be looking at you kind of, you know, because of what they've been through once they got here. You know, once they get here to America, what they've been through, they kind of like side eye, like, oh no.
Right.
You know, so it's not that we don't want, but we don't know if you're gonna beat us up, take our money, what's gonna be. But if you can give us that belief that, you know, we're all in this together, I think the thing about Africans is that they're very friendly and open. That's just the nature of them. They're just friendly and open. But if you keep treating them bad, then they just cut you off.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I think that's an interesting point, Derek, because I think what happens is, and probably continues too, when we're so low on the American totem pole that whenever, as African Americans, I believe, whenever we get an opportunity to see somebody that's maybe potentially lower on the totem pole, we might take some shots. We might look at them a certain way. We might crack some jokes because we've been so browbeaten. Hurt people, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, we take that out unjustly on our brothers and sisters, you know, from Africa. And I don't know if it's to say we see them as less than. I don't know if that's necessarily fair, but we definitely see them as different. And if we have a chance, unfortunately, to ostracize somebody the way we felt ostracized, we take that out on them. But I think as we've gotten older, I think as we've matured as a culture and as a people, hopefully, not all of us, but a lot of us, I think there is an opportunity to bridge that gap. And it might be, if money can be the great divider, why can't money be the great, you know, equalizer? So if we can reverse that negative connotation sin that money has about people, we can definitely reverse that. It's just a matter of what are the best steps to do that? How do we build those relationships to make those bridges that lead to business together?
Do you think the Black Lives Matter movement is bringing us closer, or do Africans who migrated here, do they not really identify with the movement?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I was thinking about. Damn it, girl.
I'm sorry.
Scratch that off my.
That's a good question.
That's a good
That's my last question. I'm done.
No, keep going. I love this. Keep
you
going.
said it was gonna be
Black
too
more
moderate.
people. This is what we're gonna be doing.
I'm telling you.
That is a good question. Wow. That's a good question. I think that the way that Africans see Black Lives Matter is that they want to see that Black people really think that Black Lives matter even over the ocean.
Gotcha.
Like, do you think that Black lives over there across the ocean matter as well? Or is it only the Black lives that are here?
American lives. Yeah.
Or is
Well,
it
for
all
me, I would say different because people identify you Black or African. So my ex-husband, he always said, "You African, I'm Black." You know what I mean? Even if it's a joke, some people look at it that way. So Black Lives Matters might help, but some people don't identify us as Black. We African. So I don't know how people look at it. You know what I mean? People told me that you're African.
Wow.
And my response is like, I think I'm Black more than you is. Like, at least I know my whole, you know what I mean?
See, there's that shit. See, there's that shit.
So if we really talk about Black, I'll be like, I'm more Black than you are. Like, so let's go DNA. You know what I mean? I go joke on you, but a lot of people say you're African, I'm Black. So I don't know how many people receive it as Black Lives Matter, speak for both sides. I don't even being here, Black Americans don't really think Black Lives Matter speak for them. So it depends who you're talking to, you know what I mean, how they see us. So I don't know, does that make a difference in the gap? I doubt it because people look at us as still we African.
That's the point. Yeah.
Not so much as Black.
I think it matters as in much if something was to happen to an African as an American, then we'd be like, nope, Black. See, police shot him, Black. But when it comes to, folks are hollering reparations, and some of these other affirmative action and so on and so forth, I think that's where, even in college, like I said, I think that's the great divider. I think that's where that comes into, no, hold on, shorty. We got to get ours first. We've been here getting abused longer. You get behind me in line on this one.
Yeah.
So when there's injustice that could affect us all, I think then we all are together. When there's something that can benefit us before them, then I think, as Lily said, we see this divide. And that's not, it's not fair. It's not, and then Derek took it a whole other, like, across this ocean. Wow. Like, hey, Brian, even gonna lie, we fighting so hard here. Right. I haven't even considered
over there, right?
Once apartheid was over, what I needed to be doing, concerned about over in Africa. I'm not even, to be quite frank. So that's a whole other ball of wax that we haven't even, we ain't even gonna have time to touch today. Right. But those are great comments. That's great questions. Those are great questions. Let me ask you all this. Somebody mentioned this in the chat. So ADOS is something that's been, it's not, I won't say it's recent, but it's something people are attached themselves to more recently. African descendants of slaves, as opposed to African Americans, is the terminology. Some folks are applying to themselves and their belief in who they are as a people. Are you all familiar with this phraseology?
No,
it's come up a lot because of Kamala Harris.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Keisha, since you seem to be the one that's kind of familiar with it, what do you think of it as a terminology?
I don't look for ways to divide us. Part of me we're Black, we are of African descent. I just don't think I don't see the utility in saying, in the case of Kamala Harris, because perhaps she's not a descendant of slaves, why would you want to create more division within an already fractured community? So, I'm just not buying into it. I don't look for ways to continue to divide us. If our job is to progress as a community, let's just unite us. And if the adjective is, we're all Black and that is synonymous with being of African descent at some point in our history, let's just operate under that. I don't want more categories. That's exhausting and it's counterproductive. But that's just me.
Oh, it's been no. It's been an interesting 2 days on Facebook with the vice presidential nomination, and I haven't really been chatting about it too tough. I just made my one little post. Y'all ain't never happy about nothing. Like nothing makes. God. nothing ever satisfies us. And I'm not saying with this monolith where, you know, if you throw me Clarence Thomas, I'm supposed to be happy that we got Clarence Thomas. I'm not saying that, but God damn.
Right.
Do we gotta, you know, man, it's tough, bro.
Yeah. No, that's a whole nother. I think
I know.
to a whole nother thing with that one because
yeah, I'm gonna do a whole nother show on that one. But
yeah.
so that's a whole other conversation. So Lily, as now a American, you know, do you see the possibilities of this unification of, you know, what really shouldn't be a divide, but is? Do you feel hopeful? Do you see there's possibilities out here? I know you said you have to start maybe small, grassroots, take the opportunities when you can find them. But considering all the social changes happening right now, I don't want this piece to get lost. You know, while we're trying to figure out our space in white America, I want Africans and African Americans to find their space and peace as well. Do you think this is something that could take change during this revolution?
I think because all the things going on between COVID, Black Lives Matters, politics, I think people focusing on different things versus as like, I'm worried about you meet your band, I'm over here, you know what I mean? So I think everybody is trying to figure out like how do we pass this? So I think sometimes crisis bring people in, even during COVID. You know, I think people check on people because we're in this crisis. Like nobody prepared for it. You know, like during I think the early pandemic, they were showing during we were quarantined, people leaving notes on people's doors say, "Hey, I know you're a senior. If you need help, call this number." You know what I mean? So during the food drive, people are coming, you know, this way, helping and all that. I think this might help us to reset. Some stuff there we focus that didn't matter because we in this different, you know, level of living now, trying to figure it out. You know, now like people are trying to do homeschool, trying to rotate kids in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? They're trying to bond to say, hey, how we can help now. You know, so I'm hoping those things it will bond us back and say we need each other versus as like I don't trust you and are you different, your color is different. So I'm hoping this will bring us more than ever because we do have to rely on each other now, you know, more than anything else. So I'm hoping that will change other things. That's my hope.
Real village. Yeah. No doubt. Derek, what you think?
I think, to be honest with you, I think the internet really helped out with the connection as well because, man, when I went to Ghana, they know about what's going on in America more than I did, and and I like they know the rap lyrics, they know about everything. What I would like is that is as eager and curious as the Africans were about the American culture. I would love the Americans
that was turned on us,
to come and be as curious about what's going on in Africa. I mean, like I like them to just have an open mind about what's going on, so that they can understand that, so that it can create the relationship that we all want. Because if Black people start to want to know more about their African culture or African history, they'll be more like Africans more receptive on trying to help them to get that information because it's a sense of pride. And then also you'll be able to assist us in America because, you know, we want to come here so bad. Africans want to be here in America so badly. So it's like, it has to be a cohesion between both African Americans and Africans so that we can be able to interact way more better. I think, like I said, back in the early times, there was a separation that took place, and it was hard. But now I think because of the situations that have been going on lately, we can definitely take advantage of this time and try to build bridges and interact with each other more frequently. And I think that will help, I guess, the relationships between both Africans and African Americans.
I like it. Keisha, give me your kittens and rainbows. What you think?
No, I think Derek, I completely agree with him. The notion of the internet, like I can Google Ghana and see pictures of downtown Ghana and know that what I've been fed and told is an absolute myth. Yeah, I think, I think we're on our way to bridging that gap and not having this us against them attitude towards each other. Like, I just feel, I asked the Black Lives Matter question because I assumed that Africans who migrated here would absolutely get behind the movement because we're Black, and when you experience police or white people, they're not waiting to hear your accent or waiting for your last name. They receive you as Black. So I figured I thought that would galvanize us. So I'm surprised that is not necessarily the case. But I'm still optimistic. I think, pop culture has made Africa cool to some degree. I think education has gone a long way. I know, God, I can't count on my hands how many friends of mine have studied abroad because of their curiosity. So I don't know. I think we're heading in the right direction. I cannot imagine a case where we're going to go backwards and the gap is going to widen. I think it's going to continue to narrow.
Right.
That's fair. Wakanda forever.
Why you gonna do that shit?
You gonna have to go Black Panther on us, huh? Okay.
Well, it's funny that while you all were talking, it crossed. I hadn't even thought about Black Panther, even when having this conversation or thinking about this conversation. But while you all were talking, it made me think about when the movie came out, and just people went and got the dashikis and the head wraps and all this stuff, and it's like I was kind of like, all right, that's cool, but like you're not for real. You're not really trying to figure. You in the Wakanda, which don't even exist. But maybe somewhere deep in the recesses of your mind, it brought out a curiosity that I hope translates. But to Derek's and Keisha, to all of your points, I don't think the problem lies with our African brothers and sisters that have come from Africa. I really think the problem lies within African Americans. I think we have adopted this arrogance, this culture of superiority that whites have instilled in us over the years living in this country. And I think our arrogance and ignorance is the real wall. And I also think that when somebody is or does dive into African culture and, really has, ingested and invested in this knowledge, the way that it's portrayed to other people, the way it's distributed needs to change as well. It often comes out as, again, arrogant. I know all this about my culture, my real culture, and you don't know shit, blah, blah, blah. Like I got this and I got that, and I know this and I know that because they've read 3 books. It's like, hey man, listen, great. You invested some time, you figured out something about, African heritage and your culture and all that. Just distill all that without all that animosity about folks that aren't quite where you are yet.
Right.
And that's fine. Let's help bring each other along to this piece. And if we can start knocking down some of those walls, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Derek. I think the Africans that I've encountered that even had some preconceived notions about Americans, African Americans in particular, are way more open to those perceptions being changed than the other way around. Yeah. So I really put the onus on us as African Americans to invest some time to learn about the varying cultures, the continent, not the country, the continent, and share that knowledge as you get it, and in a non, I hate to say, I joke about it on Facebook, but woke. I don't want to, but it's fine to be woke, but you ain't got to be arrogant and woke about it, right? Like help wake some other motherfuckers up.
Right.
And
right.
Yeah, I think that's where that wall can really start to get knocked down.
Yeah, I mean,
it's funny.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, just really quickly. You said it. This is the second time you said it, and I've sort of thought about the notion that we want to minimize other communities because we feel it's been done to us, so we want to sort of relegate other communities. And it just got me to thinking about, we've done it with all types of underrepresented communities, not just
Absolutely.
people of Africa who were born in Africa. We do it to, I mean, people of Latino descent. We do it to the
Asians. We do it
LGBTs.
to
Yeah, that's I think,
yeah. Oh, yeah. LGBT. Let's not even talk
yeah,
about that. Yeah, we do it. Yeah, anybody.
it's
Absolutely.
a pattern. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree with you. That's a terrible pattern that we've exhibited.
Yeah. I know when I went to Ghana, that whole last year it was a tourism kick in Ghana because it was all about the year of the return. It was exactly 400 years from when the first slaves was going through the transatlantic slave trade. And so last year, a gang of African Americans came to Ghana, a lot, like more than we have ever experienced as a country.
That, yeah.
So I think that experience in itself helped change a lot of perspectives because so many people were able to go back home to America and explain, just like Keisha went to Egypt and explained, it's not what you think, y'all. It was great. It was love. And, and so many people are doing that. And it's causing more people to say, hey, look, let me just go and visit. I'm not going to go to Ghana per se. I may go to Ethiopia or I may go to Nigeria or South, but just go. Just so I can see that there's a different, just for yourself. So you get a different experience than what you thought it was. Change your mentality by just going and visiting.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get some of those. Y'all remember when those flights to Dubai went for like $100 by some glitch? Yeah. Maybe we'll get some of them to Africa.
Ain't nobody taking the American passport. Yo, we ain't going nowhere.
I don't mean right now,
Not with the COVID. No.
Buy to stash it. Any final thoughts before we sign off, folks?
Man, this is great. It all started because of the Black is King thing. We didn't even mention it.
Oh, that's right. I haven't even seen it, so that's why.
You haven't seen it yet? Well,
I haven't even watched it. I'm Beyonce'd out. I ain't even gonna lie.
Keisha, you haven't seen it?
I bought Disney Plus for the purpose of watching it, so I will. We'll have to do part 2.
Yes, because we should. A lot of people, they have different how they receive it based on everything being filmed in Africa. And yeah, okay, since you guys didn't see it, I don't want to spoil it.
That's all right. We'll do our homework. Right? We'll do our homework and we'll come back and we'll do part 2. Hey, we're a little bit over that hour mark. I want to say, unless anybody had any last remarks, I'm sorry, I don't want to.
No, thanks, Brian.
No, thank you guys for being a part of it. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody watched, enjoyed. I'll go watch. As a matter of fact, Q is joining up now. I'm about to watch it right now. We will have part 2. Talk about it. Coming up Saturday, I am stepping aside. This will be our 35th episode, and I am not going to be a part of it for the very first time. I'm going to let my 3 reoccurring ladies that have dissected many movies with me over the past few months. We're going to let the ladies go ahead and have their own show, and they're going to talk about Think Like a Man. So tune in Saturday at noon. Derek, don't do that. Don't be rolling your eyes.
Here we go.
I'm with you. I'm gonna be live.
Or is it why did I get married? Shit, it's one of them two. I forgot. See, when I ain't doing it, I forget shit. But anyway, I will post about it.
I'm not interested.
No, I'm just not in it, so I forget which one they picked. So we will. It'll be on Facebook. I'll put posts up about it. Definitely tune in and support them. I think it'll be a very different tone and tenor of the conversation without my bossy ass being part of it. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for being a part of this conversation, and we'll see you next episode.
All right. Awesome. Catch y'all later.